Anyone that tells you to trust the science and that the science is settled on any topic is someone you need to ignore. Science is no such thing. There is no such thing as settled science. Always question the science.
And I look like this at 53. And somebody commented and said, I don't believe you, and your advice is dangerous. So again, I said, I'm speaking to a professor about this. And I spoke to Dr. Asim Malhotra earlier and asked the same.
Nice.
And
nice.
And he didn't think it was dangerous. So what's your take on it?
Right. Okay. So at the end of the day, look, there's absolutely no surprise whatever that on a ketogenic style of diet that the triglycerides are going to go down, if anything. Reason being that the triglycerides in the blood are going to be elevated when there's a bunch of triglyceride not being oxidized, which therefore needs to be transported around to be stored instead. So shock horror, you know. This is the body doing what it ought to do, maintaining its homeostasis, using resources when it needs to use resources, and storing those resources when it doesn't need to. So in terms of the people that comment, I get that too on my even on my threads. People tell me I'm wrong. Of course, absolutely. Yeah. With my background, of course I'm wrong. I'm just making things up.
Yeah.
The thing is, everybody has opinions, don't they, Al?
Like our souls, I think you've said before.
Exactly like our souls, in that almost everybody's got one and it's full of shit.
Yeah. I like that one. I've memorized that one.
Good. You can have that.
Thank you.
Yeah.
So it's safe to say, or is it accurate to say that, oh no, let me rephrase that. Is saturated fat a problem on a high carbohydrate diet? Or is it any fat?
Right. On a diet which contains a significant amount of carbohydrate, any kind of fat that is there and available for / competing for access to the mitochondrial energy pathways can be problematic. But not because it is fat. It's the combination of the fat and the carbohydrate as per the Randall cycle that causes that problem. So carbs by themselves can be problematic, absolutely, because of glycation and all of that. Fat is unlikely by itself to be problematic for one's health unless one's body is set up in such a way as that it has a large amount of stored fat in the adipose tissue and or around the visceral organs, the central adiposity. But fat in your blood is not problematic to you in the way that sugar in your blood is.
Yeah, exactly, because it's the driver of high insulin causing the high blood pressure, which we said is the problem, damaging the endothelium in the arteries and causing the plaque to form as a protective mechanism.
Top of the class, Mr. Reeves.
Thank you. I read a lot for a bodybuilder.
There you go.
And then that's the point I made to a group I was speaking to in Costa Rica for 60 guys, that we talked about the nutrition education of a general practitioner. And I think Dr. Asim told me it averages about 4 hours in 6 years. It's like one afternoon. Oh, there you go. This is an apple. There's a fruit. Etc. So he said that it was very, very minimal. But then, of course, they do a lot about drugs and mechanisms of what drug to give when you get a different side effect. Whereas I've studied, or I read, maybe 2 hours every single day since my dad was diagnosed with cancer, which is now 18 years ago. And that's what brought me back into the ketogenic diet in the first place, finding out that sugar feeds cancer. because I didn't know that before. I did Atkins back in the early 90s because everybody had a go at it, but didn't know the mechanisms of it or didn't study it, just tried it. And of course, Atkins, it was a bit more of a dirty keto back then. Go to McDonald's and have nuggets, but don't have the fries, sort of keto, which again, there is no such thing as a ketogenic food. I tell this to people. Ketogenesis is a metabolic state.
Yes.
So it's not a ketogenic food. It's either a low carb food or a high carb food, pretty much. You know what I mean? So because people say, oh, is this keto? Well, it's not. There's nothing that's keto per se. So you see what I'm getting with that?
You betcha. Yeah, absolutely. No, you're quite right.
Yeah, if you do fasting, you're in ketosis, most likely, after so many days, for sure. And you're not eating any food. So you can't say you're on a ketogenic diet. What was his name? I always say Angus McDougall, but I make that bit up. It's Angus something. But he fasted for 383 days with nothing. So he wasn't on a ketogenic diet, but you can rest assured he was in ketosis.
Correct. Yeah.
Otherwise, he would have died. So so that clears it up then for that one.
Very good. Well, that's the world put to rights. What else do we need to talk about today?
Thank you very much. How's the farm?
Yeah, look, it's good. It's I think the first thing is to get one's head around is that there's no getting on top of it. No. It's painting the harbour bridge. You fix one thing, something else breaks. You fix that, something else breaks.
It's certainly a lifestyle rather than a hobby.
Well, I've probably said this to you before, but when I first bought the property, I said to a mate of mine, hey, I've bought a lifestyle property, and I was laughed at and told, no, you didn't. You bought a life extensions property.
Yeah. So you have to love it. You have to love it.
You do. Yeah.
Yeah. You can't just have a go at it. You could run retreats, come and have a go on the farm and see how hard work it is. I remember I was working on a farm with my dad. He was fixing the boiler system to a farm. That's where I learned to drive, actually, because he let me drive a van when I was like 14 years old, driving around this farm. Yeah, it was brilliant. I loved it, but again, hard work.
Oh, yes.
So I've got a couple of questions rather than just from comments, if you will, from some of my clients. And
hit me with your rhythm stick.
And to be fair, the first one's just been answered exactly with what you just said. But this one more, again, we talked about this last time, about ApoB, because it keeps coming up. It keeps coming up. So ApoB and cardio, and this word makes, I know you're going to snigger when I say the word risk.
Yeah.
ApoB and cardiovascular risk.
Yeah.
Is ApoB a better predictor of cardiovascular risk than LDL cholesterol?
Right.
In low-carb individuals with high LDL, but low triglycerides, how should ApoB be interpreted?
Right. Okay. Let's boil this down. For those that don't know what Ella's talking about, ApoB is a particular protein which is found associated with the low-density lipoprotein, or LDL. It's that thing that identifies it as LDL, in fact. The ApoB is a tag, if you like. The way that ApoB needs to be interpreted is this. The exact level of ApoB in your blood at any given time is exactly what it ought to be, according to your genes. Your genes have that under control. They know exactly what they're doing. You, Mr. Reeves, are the absolute peak of evolution. Sadly, so am I, unfortunately. So that it destroys that argument. But there you go.
Oh, right.
We're all, what I'm saying is we're all the peak of evolution to this point. Some 3,800 million years on this planet, and probably an amount of time before that.
So we can't influence that.
It absolutely can be influenced. Anything can be influenced. Genes can be up or down regulated to produce more or less of a given protein. What I'm suggesting to you is at the end of the day, your genes will up and down regulate their activity to produce more or less of any given protein according to its evil machinations, according to the plans that it has for a funky little thing called homeostasis, i.e. the keeping of everything where it should be. There are no studies extant anywhere on this planet that can inform us on risk of cardiovascular disease. Not one anywhere. Risk is a cause and effect statement. It requires experimental, lock-in, properly designed, properly disciplined, properly observed, properly tenured studies, which do not exist and which will never exist, because ethics committees tend to be a little bit against doing experiments on humans. Also, it's impractical and not feasible financially to...
I was going to say, they might find something that proves them wrong, that ruins a whole industry of...
That too. So anytime you read a paper that talks about, this study talks about risk, you can put that paper down again. No, it doesn't talk about risk. No, it doesn't.
I knew what you was going to... It's a four-letter word to you.
Yes, but, risk is definitely a four-letter word.
So when we say, and we've always said it the last 10 years, that the particles become big and fluffy on a ketogenic, is that talking about the ApoB, or is that talking about...
That's talking about the LDL more widely. And at the end of the day, what you've got with the lipoproteins and their lipid cargo is you have a balance between the amount of wrapping, the low density lipoprotein, and the amount of lipid core in the middle. So you can have a large and fluffy molecule with a little bit of lipid, or you can have a small, tight one, large, dense, small, fluff. I was going to say small floppy. No, that's not what we've got. Small fluffy. This is what we've got, definitely. Goodness gracious, Freud. Very Freudian. Look, at the end of the day, once again, these mechanisms are according to the evil machination of the metabolic system, which has developed over at least 3,800 million years. It knows exactly what it's doing. Okay. Lipoproteins, LDL, HDL, VLDL, IDL, all of them, ApoB, 100 protein, LP, little a, all of them, all of those, right? Plus the cholesterol, plus the fats and everything that are carried by those molecules, none of those things are causally involved in the development, etiology, cause and effect with heart disease, atherosclerosis. None of them. Some of them associate better than others, right? So when the question is, does ApoB 100 protein associate better with heart disease than LDL more widely? The answer is yes, it does. However, it's still an association.
But not a
ice cream sales and sunburn.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
When the sun shines, people buy more ice cream. They eat more ice cream. They also get more sunburn. Does that mean the cause of the sunburn was the ice cream? No. Well, you could say to some degree, yes, because of the
because it
polyunsaturated fatty acids. Yes, but that's a spurious correlation. For another example, you turn on the television, find a forest fire, there'll be fire crews running around because that's what they do. Does that mean that the fire crews were the cause of the fire?
Of course not.
Well, let's hope not. Otherwise, they were bored or something. Let's light a fire so we can put it out.
Yeah, exactly. And that makes it quite crystal clear. So that answers that. So not a problem. Now, this one is more. I've been reading up on cardiolipin because I've been studying mitochondria and glycation. Etc. So from my understanding, cardiolipin is the fat inside the mitochondria, which holds the energy system together. If that fat is made up of unstable fatty acids like linoleic acid from obviously seed oils, is it more prone to oxidative damage?
Yes, it is.
Yeah, because those are more volatile oils, fats. They are more unstable.
Yes. At the end of the day, it's to do with the molecular makeup of the double bond versus the single bond that you'll find in saturated fatty acids, whereby if you've got a double bond, you've got a molecule which is more prone to attack, in short.
As I said before, I'm logical. I'm not a scientist, but when you read that history can sort of tell you clues, and heart cardiologists, etc., never had a heart attack at all. They had nothing to do in 1910 until, I think, was it Crispex that was invented, the first vegetable oil. A couple of years later, they got a lot of heart attacks. And they'd never had them before.
Right.
And that's when diets changed, because, you know, they was forced into the food supply just to make these big corporations money. So 100 years before. When you look at, I've just read Dr. Sarah's book, and she loves to make comments, you know, from old poets and doctors and stuff from throughout the years. And you look at them and they're like, oh, born 1809, died 1901. And they all seem to be about 90 or 100, these people that was doing these famous quotes back then. And yet the way that they manipulate those data, or the life expectancy was young, but obviously children died at childbirth much, much more back then, which would lower the average life expectancy date. Well, so every single one that she'd posted, these doctors from back then, seemed to be 100. What's going wrong now? Has to be
several things. Yeah, several things.
Yeah. How long we got?
Well, yeah. Okay, so seed oils, a major problem. Absolutely no question in my mind. Seed oils are the worst thing you can consume, bar nothing, in terms of stuff that we generally think of as food. Much worse than carbs, much worse than sugar. I would stay the hell away from seed oils. If you do nothing else, that's a win, I think.
In my opinion, when I got to Costa Rica, I walked straight into the villa kitchen to check out, had a little look, they're cooking up the scrambled egg, and he must have poured a cup full, this big, of seed oil into the pan. And I'm like, what are you
no,
doing?
thank you.
What are you doing? Yeah. So my eggs were cooked separately, and I told them never to use that again for all the others. And they got olive oil sitting there, and I said, I don't even want that. You don't need any oil. It's just eggs. Just cook the eggs, and
that's right.
Otherwise, I'd have them raw. Bring them out, and we'll drink them Rocky Balboa style. But,
not for me, but okay, fair enough. Exactly. Whatever floats your boat.
Needs must, but it's better than drinking seed oil.
Oh, you bet, absolutely. No, I as I say, I would stay absolutely the hell away from seed oils. Be they polysaturated, unsaturated, or be they monounsaturated, it makes no difference to me. One is worse than the other, absolutely, yes, but they are both unnecessary. That said, you will get some polys and some monos inherently in your so-called saturated animal fats. There is a mix of them in there. However, the seed-based, plant-based ones seem to be vastly worse. And I think, this is a theory, this is a working hypothesis, I think it's to do with the deuterium state of them more than anything else.
Right.
Whatever. That's for another day.
I mean, when you look on YouTube of how seed oils are made, I mean, it looks like it's in a nuclear power station or something. The process that they go through with bleaching and boiling and hexane, and it can't be good for you. It just can't. Just get me some normal butter and off we go. Straight from the cow. But so how long does it take to get the seed oils out the body? Because I tell clients it takes up to like 4 or 5 years.
Yes. Yep. You got that right. There is a half-life on seed oils that have become inveigled into the body structures. And yeah, it can be years before you get them clear.
Yeah, I remember this half-life was something like 286 days or something. It's a
Right.
long time.
Yeah, I don't know what the exact number is. I'd have to go and look it up. But let's say it's 286 days. What that means is that the initial concentration is now halved. It means you've got to go another 268 days to get it halved again to 3/4.
And then
another
again,
200. So it's years and years and years before you get this poison, this nonsense out of your body, once it becomes inveigled in there.
Well, I've been doing this without seed oils for over 10 years now. And what I've noticed is I can take sun a lot more without getting burned than I could before. And
bloody ice cream again. There you go. See?
Must be eating the ice cream. Yeah. I don't use any, the only thing I ever put on my skin is beef tallow now.
Righto.
And yeah, so it's strange. I've read that a lot, though. People don't get sunburned once they've been on this diet for 5+ years.
I wouldn't suggest that that's a good thing to try down here in this part of the world. We have much more UV than you do. Like people that in the Northern Hemisphere that say, oh, I don't get sunburned anymore on carnivore. That might be true. Don't come down here and think you won't get sunburned. You will.
Yeah.
Still.
Yeah. But, I mean,
just a warning.
You should sit in the sun, but not get burned as soon as you get it home.
Yeah. And by the way, but what I just said there is by no means an endorsement that anyone should ever put sunscreen on.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. What I'm saying is sit in the sun at better times of the day, i.e. not in the middle of the day down here in this hemisphere, and get the amount of it right. Don't jump on a plane from the Northern Hemisphere and come down here and think you're going to do the same thing. No, bad idea.
That's why they say mad dogs and Englishmen go out in the midday sun. I mean, that's
right.
what we do. We go to Spain, you've not had any sun all year, and you just, and then you come bright red and burnt. That's a standard British sort of comedy. But when you're in Spain, you see the Spanish coming out to get on the beach, and it's like 6 o'clock at night when they do it.
Yes.
You know, the Brits have been there since 9 a.m. But so good, that answered that. Oh, somebody said to me, and this one, I mean, why do organizations like the American Heart Association still recommend seed oils as heart healthy?
Right.
Follow the money?
Yeah, because at the end of the day, these associations are the furthest thing possible that it is that anyone could be from a scientifically informed bunch of individuals. These are people who are deeply compromised financially. Follow the money. If you are, frankly, stupid enough to listen to the American Heart Association, that is Darwin in action. You deserve what you get.
Really?
Sorry about that. Not sorry. That's how it is. Yeah.
So I think the modern disease really is the problem of the mismatch, overconsumption of seed oils, overconsumption of carbohydrate, and lack of protein. I think majority of the average American population eat ridiculously low amounts of protein because they were told to.
Yes. Yeah, and then you add into that a fairly sedentary lifestyle and increasingly more sedentary every year for people. It's an absolute shit show. It's a recipe for disaster in public health. I mean, at the end of the day, people that are saying the American Heart Association, this, that, okay, well, how long has the American Heart Association been floating around?
Was it the 50s?
Yeah, something like that. Okay, so by now they should have solved heart disease, shouldn't they?
Yeah.
Well, they haven't. I mean, look at any of these organizations, the Cancer Foundation. How's that going? You know, at the end of the day, these organizations exist to feather their own nests. They have nothing whatever to do with actually solving the problem that they claim to be about solving. In fact, their advice is absolutely contradictory to solving the problem, mostly because, well, they threw the scientific disciplines out the window right at the very beginning. And they then just sort of said, well, we're a scientific organization. Claiming that you're a scientific organization doesn't make you one at the end of the day, actually. It's like the whole me saying, I'm safe and effective, me, I'm the science, don't question the science.
And science, by definition, can change when you learn more.
Well, at the end of the day, you see, I mean, if you hear someone say, don't question the science is settled, you know that's not a scientist, unless they're saying it as I do, in jest. Okay, anyone that seriously says the science is settled, you shouldn't be questioning the science. What you now know, the second that person says that, is that this is a person that does not understand science. Because, you see, questioning science is how you do science.
Yeah, that is science. That's
right. Yes. So if you're not questioning the science, you're not doing science anymore. Now you're doing theology.
Yeah, you're just saying something. Whereas
like seed oils are safe and effective for your heart health. Give it a nice big tick.
Yeah. Why is it? Oh, because I said so. Finished.
Yes.
Next.
That's it. Right. Don't question the science, Al. You bodybuilder, you.
And that's what, a lot would come out with. There was a cardiologist on what's the other? Eric, I forget his name. He's been on, you've interviewed him many times. Eric Westman.
Eric Westman,
yeah. And of course, he's been around for years in this, very well respected and nice. I've never spoke to him. I'd like to. He's very, brilliant. I always watch his stuff. Been watching his stuff for years. Of course, he learned from Dr. Atkins himself, didn't he?
Yeah.
And he was debunking a cardiologist was saying that beef tallow is terrible for you. It's going to give you a heart attack. It raises your LDL and it gives you a heart attack. The exact opposite of everything what we've just said. And he said, you have to trust me because I'm a heart surgeon.
That's right.
And of course, Eric politely, he's the opposite of you, isn't he? When he,
I've often said to Eric, look, I get what you're doing. I understand. You're still working in that field. You still need to put on the professional visog, all of that. But I think Eric is way too forgiving, frankly.
Yeah, that's a good description of him. Who's Eric? Always the opposite of Bart Kay, but they have the same meaning.
Yeah, we both say the same things,
in different
but
ways.
I say it differently.
You say it quicker. You get to the point quicker, for sure.
Yeah. I mean, how long does it take to say utter nonsense?
Yeah.
Show me the science. No science? Okay, stop it. But do they stop it? No, they double down. Trust me, I'm the science, they say.
A client messaged me earlier today saying that he's just been to blood test, obviously, and the doctor was really, really trying to put him on statins.
Yes,
saying
they're required to do that.
Yeah, his risk is
no
very high now.
Before you go any further, no, you said that word again, risk. No, there are no studies that inform on risk. No.
Yeah, but people just don't know what to say, do they? Because they have the white coat syndrome.
Yes.
And the doctor pulls it. I'm the doctor. I've studied this for so many years.
Yes.
And it can be quite scary for them.
I often, even me, I get my clients saying the same thing to me. Oh, my doctor said. I said, well, why did you go and see the doctor? For what reason did you do that? Oh, just a routine test. Why? Routine test of what? Oh, all the things that doctors are concerned about. Well, there's your problem.
Yeah.
How do you feel? I feel great. Okay, well, there's nothing broken then, is it? Should we move on?
And that's the point when I showed my blood work to Dr. Asim Malhotra, because my local doctor said you need to take a statin.
Yeah.
Asim said your cholesterol's phenomenal, was his actual words. Phenomenal.
Yeah.
So,
of course, I personally, I would say that irrespective of what your cholesterol reading came back at, pretty much, so long as it's not off scale, low.
Yeah.
Do you know why? Because let's circle back to what I said at the beginning. Your cholesterol level is exactly what it ought to be according to your genes. They're in control of that. That's what they do.
So by chemically castrating your cholesterol, if you will, that's going to be a risk factor.
Well, if anything, that's likely to predispose one to the likelihood of a problem, or several problems actually, because when you, for example, when you take a statin medication, it has the exact effect that it says it will have, you bet, in terms of the effect on cholesterol. It does what it says on the tin. It reduces the level of circulating cholesterol. It works against what the genes are doing, right? What it doesn't tell you, except in small print in that leaflet, which nobody reads, in the statin medication packet, that it knocks down 50 or 60 other things in your body that your body absolutely needs too, that are in that same metabolic pathway. And the pathway is knocked out right at the top. So all of this stuff that your body needs and makes for a reason tends to be reduced in terms of your ability to make it. Like, myelin to sheath your neurons with, so that you can not get ALS, for example.
Yeah. And what's gone on for 30 years?
Yeah, exactly. Well, ALS, among other things.
I mean, they tried to prescribe me when I was about 34, high blood pressure medication, beta blockers.
Yeah.
I don't know what that one was called. I can't remember. I guess it's standard one. Then they tried to prescribe, or they did prescribe. I picked up the prescription. And then they prescribed me PPIs over the phone. I never even saw the doctor. I just said, come and pick up the prescription. It's like, pick up your Smarties. Or
safe and effective, Al. The PPIs, safe and effective. Don't question the PPIs.
And what else did they prescribe? I had also inflammation in my feet. My feet was hurting. They didn't even ask what my job was. At the time, I was a barber standing up for 10 hours a day. Maybe that's why you've got aching feet, as well as the inflammatory diet that I was eating. And they never asked any of that. They just come and pick up your drugs. So I picked them up, read the labels, and then started going down this route. And I never took one of them, not even one of each, and cured all those 3 problems with diet by going on the ketogenic diet. And I've never took an antiacid tablet since then. And I used to take, do you know what Rennies are in England?
Yeah.
I used to have a pocket full all the time. It was just popping them all day long. Just like your Smarties, but not had one since. I actually took apple cider vinegar at the time because I was learning about keto. I was trying different diets for my dad's cancer and stuff. We went on juicing diet, Budwig diet. Do you know the Budwig diet? Are you familiar with?
No.
Joanna Budwig. She was nominated for 7 Nobel Prizes, and they didn't let her win because she cured so many cancer cases. Apparently, she came second all these times, and she cured these cancers with cottage cheese and flaxseed oil. And you grind down the flaxseed, blend it all together, and that's what my dad was taking, because we was like, desperate, trying to find all these different sort of cures. Of course, he had chemo. He was too far gone, too far damaged. So it was too late. And he had mesothelioma. So the asbestos was in the lungs.
Yeah.
But I mean, he had that for 40 years. But once he'd had the chemo, 4 weeks later, it was almost game over. Then the next week he was gone. And that's what made me question the science, if you like. Because I remember his oncologist said, well, what can he eat? Because I was with them. Oh, he can eat anything he likes. Doesn't matter. The drugs do the work. Drugs do the job. My dad's like, can I have steak and chips? Yep. Can I have a pint of Guinness? No problem.
Good. Well,
and the rest we know is history, if you like. But I mean, that was because it was in Harley Street in a posh building, and it cost about $100,000 for that service. You hope that it's safe. So that's what's got me down.
Let's close the loop on your heart surgeon friend who said, trust me, because I'm a heart surgeon. heart surgeons are trained in how to do heart surgery. They are not trained in the cause of the disease in the first place.
Right.
Okay. Right. Anyway, I just thought I'd bring that loop to a close.
That's a very good point. So, if you had to design the worst human diet possible,
yes,
what would that be?
That's what most people are already doing.
Yeah, exactly.
It's the standard Western, standard American diet, which is even worse than the normal standard Western one. It's that mixture of highly processed carbohydrates and fat-laden food like slop, basically.
Yeah. And that's what I always say to my American clients: just the fast food it's not
and
food.
if you want it to be even more damaging, then just make sure that there's a goodly amount of seed oils in it.
And high fructose corn syrup.
Yeah, absolutely. That's great stuff. The high fructose corn syrup. Nothing like dragging down the hepatic ATP concentration because of all that fructose. Awesome. I'm being sarcastic for those that didn't get it.
Glycation and methyl-glyoxal.
Yeah.
That is 100 times worse than glucose at glycating the cell.
Yeah.
What's the difference to a glycated cell and an oxidized cell?
Okay, so
one's
all the
glucose, one's with
pretty much, yeah. I mean, if you want the most parsimonious explanation, that's it. A tissue, a cell, or part of a cell that is damaged oxidatively basically means an electron or more have been ripped out of it by something that steals electrons. Normally, that thing is oxygen. That's why it's called oxidation, but actually the oxidative damage is not the appending of oxygen molecules, it's the removal of electrons by things like oxygen that then piss off with it.
Right.
So you've got holes in your protein structures where electrons ought to be, and if electrons have been ripped out of proteins, for example, they won't fold properly. Ergo, they won't function properly. So that's oxidative damage in a nutshell.
So that stops the production of ATP, does it?
Well, yes. And a bunch of other things, because basically everything that happens, all the mechanisms that happen in your cells, they all happen because the proteins are specific chains of amino acids which fold up in a certain way so that they do a certain job to catalyze various reactions. Basically, that's how it works in a nutshell. So that's oxidative damage. If oxidative damage occurs to fat, it's usually an attack on the bonds between carbon atoms, which usually ends up in a switching around from one isomer to another, which causes a problem, and or a nice straight saturated fatty acid chain can become kinked off in all sorts of different directions. Ergo, if it then becomes inveigled in a cell membrane, it won't sit nicely in there, and it pushes everything to the side and it causes leaky membranes. Not good.
So with damaged cells like that, they could become cancerous.
They could, among other things. Yes, absolutely. Yep, you bet. So that's the oxidative damage. The glycative damage is the addition of something, and it's the sugar molecule which becomes chemically bound, thus changing the shape of the molecule and interfering with its function, basically. It's important to note that while it is true that fructose is 7 to 11 times more glycating and hundreds of times worse in terms of methyl-glyoxal, you also need to understand that in most people's diet, fructose is very much a minor player in terms of the absolute amount of the stuff that's being consumed. Unless you're in America glugging back the old high fructose corn syrup, in which case you're a sitting duck, pal. Stop that today. Yeah. So yes, it is much worse per molecule, but there's many less molecules of that. So most people will go, what's my problem? Well, my problem is it's always the dose that makes a poison, any poison. Oxygen will kill you if you get too much of that.
Yeah.
Same with water.
Yeah. Same as water.
Water will kill you. Yeah.
It's big food that is poisoning people. When I was a kid, if you had a cup of tea, being British, as a kid, you probably had 3 sugars. Your mum wouldn't let you have 4.
All
You
right.
know, because
Come on, that's just silly now.
yeah, that's silly. But now when you Google the amount of sugar in some of these milkshakes from like Dunkin' Donuts or Ben and Jerry's or whatever, I can't remember. It's one of these.
Yeah.
One of my 255 grams of sugar in the serving of a milkshake.
Yeah.
I mean, what? That's like 55 spoons. Imagine in the lab. They must have been having a joke, these scientists, thinking, that tastes better. Oh, no, we need one more. Didn't you stop at 50? Nah, we'll do 55.
Yeah, 55 is a good number. Yeah.
I mean,
yes,
it's really
it's crazy.
insane.
Yeah. All right. So the worst diet possible, the standard Western diet. And if you're in America in particular, the standard American diet is even worse again. All right. The second worst diet that's possible is the vegan diet. There you go. The appropriate diet, it seems, for a human being is hypercarnivore.
Maybe I've got one last question. Being married to, well, I'm not married, but I'm working on it. It's been 20 years this year together, so maybe we'll seal the deal.
I'd give up the ghost if I was you on that. Don't do it.
I read that. I always said I'm saving up for the divorce.
That's right.
I'm not rich enough yet. But so she's Chinese. So born in Sweden though, but Chinese, full Chinese. Mum and dad full Chinese. They was born in India, but full Chinese. Of course, the Chinese are known to eat a lot of rice.
They are, yes.
These days, I don't know how far that's gone back in evolution, and of course
thousands of years.
Yeah, the longest lived population, I believe, is Hong Kong.
Yes.
And they eat a lot of meat in Hong Kong.
That's right. Well, that was going to be my first point. They also have the highest meat consumption as well. So there's a confound for you. Yeah.
And I know that when I've eaten with their families and Chinese, they don't tend to overeat a lot of rice. But when I was eating rice, when I first met her, she would cook for me, and I would have, without lying, a plate full of rice like that twice.
Yeah.
Because I'd never experienced such good cooking from a girlfriend, for one. I was always, jacket potato or something. But I've got lovely Chinese food at home, and I overconsumed it, for sure. And of course, my evolution probably wasn't used to that much rice anyway. But why is it that they can eat more rice than... Is it because rice is cleaner and it's not full of seed oil? Is it because their diet is not as poisoned as America? Because when Chinese leave and go to America, they get fatter.
Okay. It's a rich tapestry. There are many inputs into an output, like a person's fat carriage, body composition, hormonal status, inflammasome, all of that kind of stuff. An Asian person consuming a traditional Asian diet that their forebears have been consuming for thousands and thousands of years would suggest that they have some genetic adaptation to that specific diet. Flash in the pan in terms of evolutionarily, because the agrarian revolution was like 11, 12, 13,000 years ago, something like that. So like that, genetically. However, genes do change in fits and starts, not steadily. They change glacially, but they go,
And I guess we're talking such a minuscule amount of time that the Chinese people were probably very, very poor, never had much food, and working out in the fields all day long. So only the last 100 years or even 50 years that they've had money. And are those ones as healthy? Because they're sitting in front of the computer. They're doing less activity and eating more because there's more choice. So I guess a population like that was often hungry because they've always had this huge population. How did they grow so many compared to other populations? Because obviously they lived a long time and had a lot of babies.
Okay. Yeah, rich tapestry. So you've got activity levels, you've got amount of seed oil, you've got amount of fruit and fructose going into the diet, you've got the particular brands and species of rice that those particular people have become accustomed to. You've got some genetic drift.
They don't eat dairy as well, like we.
There is that too. Yeah. Mostly because most Asian people do not have the genetic adaptation to dairy, because it was culturally not a thing that most of the Asians were doing.
Which makes sense. I mean, we're the only species that still drinks from a different animal, aren't we, as that with milk?
I think there are one or two other, like, rare occasions where it can happen, but in general, what you're saying is accurate enough.
So that all makes sense. Perfect. So brilliant, mate. Well, I think we've covered quite a few things. I don't want to keep you too long. I've got kids to put to bed because my missus is away, so I'm looking after the fort again this week.
Very good.
There's always a job to do. It's like my little farm, but it's 3 children.
Yeah. Right. Well, I wish you all the best of everything with all of that. I'm sure they'll be fine. At the end of the day.
We've got it covered. But
you got a system. It's all good.
Amazing to catch up with you again, Bart. And
my pleasure.
Always a pleasure. Thanks for answering my question.
So just before you go, let me just summarize a few points that people should take away from this discussion. Absolutely. All right. Here we go. Anyone that tells you to trust the science and that the science is settled on any topic is someone you need to ignore. Science is no such thing. There is no such thing as settled science. Always question the science. Okay, so that's the first thing. Secondly, anyone that tells you that anything is associated with risk or causes risk of this, that, or the other thing in terms of any hard health outcome in human beings as it relates to any aspect of diet or any other intervention does not understand science and should be ignored completely. That is an incompetent buffoon, irrespective of their credentials and what they do for a job. Okay, so those are 2 absolute red flags. Trust the science? No, you're not a scientist. I'm not going to listen to you. You're done. Easy as that, simple. Or as soon as they say the word risk without saying, and by the way, this study is not capable of informing on risk, you're done with that person as well. And that's almost everybody, by the way. So what I'm saying, Al, is I'm the science me. I'm safe and effective. You should always trust me and never question the science.
Yeah.
Otherwise, there's a real risk that someone will lead you up the garden path.
It sounds ridiculous when you put it like that, but they put it in a serious light. And
that's right.
Try and scare you into taking that medication, which
that's right,
which is more risky.
There you go. Ironic, isn't it?
Yeah, exactly.
All right, young man, go and tuck some children in.
Brilliant, mate. Have a fantastic day.
All right, and
chat to you soon.
All right, don't do anything I would. Trust me on that.
It's risky.
Yeah, that's right. All right, there we go.
Did that one record?
And now it doesn't want to stop recording, it seems. That's funny. Anyway, all right. I hope it did record, and it should have done because it was recording and all of that.
I had it after all anyway last time on one of my AIs.
All right. Well, I'll email you later with the video, or to tell you that I don't have the video, and in which case you've got it.
I'll email it you.
Yeah, very good. Very good. All right.
Perfect,
I mean, yeah. All right, man. Be good.
Thanks, mate.